it's Liv and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. So today I am bringing you guys my TBR for the rest of 2020. So we have officially reached the second half of 2020. Thank God, because this year has been just a little bit of a mess, but the final months here I feel like are going to go hopefully fairly quickly, and then we will be in 2021 before we know it, and hopefully the world will right itself again. But that being said, with this comes the freak out that the year is coming to an end. I still have a ton of books that I am hoping to get read before the rest of the year, so that is all about what this video is today. I have 10 books slash book series here that I do want to quickly kind of talk about, the books that I am hoping to read before the rest of the year is done. So without further ado, let's jump right in. So first up on this list, we have what is actually the longest book I think I will have ever read by the time that it's done, and it is It by Stephen King, which is of course the story of Pennywise the Dancing Clown coming to Derry, Maine every 27 years, and the disappearances of various kids that follows in this strange little town. I have never read a Stephen King book. Horror movies and horror books really aren't my thing. However, the new movies that have come out in the past few years, both It Chapter 1 and It Chapter 2, I actually really loved. I went into it wanting to watch it because of how much I liked the cast of the movie. And then honestly, with the first movie, the kids are so funny. From what I know, I think the director kind of gave them free rein with a lot of their lines, so I thought it was hilarious, and it really made me want to read the book. Originally, my plan was to read the book before It Chapter 2 came out, and then that never happened. But once spooky season comes around, rest assured I will be reading this. Will I vlog it? Maybe. It's a very long book, so I don't know. I also know there are various trigger warnings in here, aside from the usual of like gore and jump scares to various slurs. So if you haven't read this and you do have your eye on it, just keep in mind if that is something that you're sensitive to. But honestly, as soon as spooky season officially rolls around next month, oh my god, September's next month. But when September rolls around, I will hopefully be starting this bad boy. Next up, we have the trilogy that I am currently reading, which is Renegades by Marissa Meyer, which is all about superheroes. This is a dystopian trilogy where this next generation of people, all of a sudden everyone started being born with various superhero abilities, and the Renegades are kind of the like superhero police versus the anarchists, who are the big bad villains. And it does follow our two main characters, Nova and Adrian. Adrian is a member of the Renegades, whereas Nova has various ties and allegiances to the anarchists, and with that, it is a recipe for disaster. I am about 150 pages into this first book, and I love it. I put this off for a while just because I was very scared that it wasn't going to live up to all of the hype that I had heard about it, and I was scared that I wasn't going to like it. But so far, it is not letting me down in the slightest. It is everything I think I was kind of looking for and everything I was hoping this book would be. So I have very high hopes for this book and for the rest of the series. So next up, we have a book that I am about halfway through, and I've been halfway through for quite a while now, and I would love to finally finish it before the end of the year and just get it over with, honestly. But it is The Toll by Neil Shusterman, which is the third and final book to the Arc of a Scythe trilogy. In the Arc of a Scythe trilogy, technology has managed to solve every single one of humanity's issues, including sickness and even death. And so because of this, they have what are called scythes, who basically maintain population control and choose at random who is going to die and how it is going to happen. The first book follows our two main characters, Citra and Rowan, who have become apprentice scythes and are training to earn their way into the scythedom, and then are later told that it is a competition and whoever wins will have to glean the other. I absolutely love both Scythe and its sequel, Thunderhead. Thunderhead was my top favorite book of 2019. However, something about The Toll I'm just really not liking, and I've mentioned this a few times. This is actually, I believe, kind of a popular opinion with this book. The first two books were absolute masterpieces, but something about this third book is going just so slow, and they're introducing all these new characters in this final book that I really don't care about, and I don't know how they're going to be relevant to the overall plotline. I'm hoping it will get better as I continue to read, but from what I've heard with some people, I know that's not fully the case, so I'm very nervous. I really want to know how Citra and Rowan's story ends because I really like both of them. So I'm hoping that it will start to pick up, and I'm hoping I will enjoy the ending. But so far it's not looking promising, and that's why I've held it off for so long. But it's time to finally finish this. It's time to do it. Next up, we have another series by Marissa Meyer, this time the Lunar Chronicles, which are of course various retellings of different fairy tales. This is the first book, Cinder, following a retelling of Cinderella where she is a cyborg. It sounds incredible, and I don't know why I haven't read it yet. I think I mentioned in my previous video that this is the oldest book on my TBR. I have owned this book since it first came out like 10 years ago, and for some reason I've never read it. I don't know why. I don't know what's stopping me. I think it's another one that I'm just really nervous about the hype, because this is kind of a staple book series here on BookTube and in a lot of people's reading lives I've seen. So I'm really scared that I'm not going to like it, and I think that's what's kept me from reading it so far. But this is on my TBR for this month for the Disney-a-thon, and I have very high hopes for this one, and I would love to continue the series and hopefully get the series finished before the end of the year. There are 4 books in total, and I know the series covers have changed, but I'm hoping that maybe if I order a used copy from Amazon that I will get the old cover. So fingers crossed that I can get them to match, but if it happens, it happens. Next up, we have another staple series here on BookTube. I think most of the books in here are pretty much of a standard that a lot of people have read here, but it is the TheIlluminae Files by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. This is of course a trilogy told in mixed media format about our 2 main characters, Katie and Ezra, who broke up that morning and later that afternoon their planet was destroyed. I want to say I'm about 150 pages into the first TheIlluminae book. I might have to go back and reread because I don't remember everything that's happened, but from what I remember, I love the mixed media format. I think it's such a unique way to tell a book. It's all told in like emails and different shiplogs, and it's such a great way to tell a story. I'm hoping that I can at least finish TheIlluminae, if not finish all 3 before the end of the year, but I have high hopes, and that is very high on my priority list. So the next book on my end of the year TBR is actually one of my most anticipated releases for the year that I still haven't gotten a chance to read, but it is Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare, which is the first book in her newest trilogy, following the children and descendants of the characters we met in The Infernal Devices. If you guys don't know, The Infernal Devices is actually my favorite trilogy of all of her Shadowhunter Chronicles, so getting to see those characters that I know and love as parents and see what their children get up to, that is something that I have been so excited for the longest time. But I've honestly needed to catch up with Cassandra Clare's books before I read it, just so I get the full understanding. But I recently finished The Dark Artifices, and I would love to read Ghosts of the Shadow Market and Red Scrolls of Magic before I get into Chain of Gold, so I'm gonna add those as kind of like unofficial members of this end of the year TBR. But Chain of Gold is something I would love to get to before the end of the year, and I really hope I get a chance to do so. Next up, we have the author that I still cannot believe I have never finished a book from, but the book I want to mention today is The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. The Stormlight Archives is of course a very staple series here on BookTube, along with Mistborn, The Final Empire. I still also need to read, and I don't know why I haven't finished that one either, but the 4th book in the Stormlight Archives is coming out later this year. I know for a fact I most likely will not have the series done by the end of the year because they are very large books. I think each one is at least 1,000 pages long, and they're chunkers, so they're gonna take some time, and I would like to kind of just take my time and enjoy the series, but I would like to have at least The Way of Kings done before the end of the year if possible. I did start it once and I read like the first 30 pages. I will of course have to go back and reread that, but I remember liking what I had read so far, so I'm hoping I can get through those 30 pages again fairly quickly and then continue on with the rest of the story. The next series I want to talk about here is actually my newest fascination and the rest of the series to the one book I managed to finish in July, but I would love to read the rest of the Darkest Mind series by Alexandra Bracken. The Darkest Mind series is a dystopian book about this new generation of children all born with abilities, and the ones that survived this weird kind of virus that was going around and killing the majority of the children were split up into groups based on these abilities that they have, and were split up into colors of blue, green, yellow, red, and orange. It does follow our main character Ruby and the friends that she makes along the way from escaping out of this detention camp that all of the children are in. She escapes, manages to meet this other group of kids that's traveling around, and they are both on the run from where she escaped from and on the run from various groups that want to use them and their abilities. I absolutely love this first book. I think it was a great introduction to what I'm hoping is going to be an epic sci-fi dystopian series. I love the cast of characters. I think Ruby's great. Little Liam is so sweet and he just melts my heart, and I want to see more of them. Chubbs, Zoo, I want to see the whole gang, and I want nothing but good things for them. But with a 4-book series, I don't know if I can have that high of hopes that they will all get their happy endings. Who knows, but I'm just gonna have to read the rest of the series and find out. Number 9 is the first of a 2-book series. The second book is actually coming out this fall, but the book I want to talk about now is Serpent and Dove by Shelby Mahurin. Serpent and Dove follows our 2 main characters who are both a witch and a witch hunter, and something happens that they have to get married, and that's really all I know about this series. I have heard many mixed reviews. I feel like this is a series that people either really love or they just really disliked. So I'm hoping that I'm going to be on the spectrum that really loved it, because I've heard a lot of great things about Lou, our main character. I've heard she's great and I really want to get to know her, and I want to see Reed, our main man. But this does seem like that classic enemies to lovers trope that I honestly love if it's done correctly. So I have very high hopes that this is something that I'm really going to love. But Blood and Honey does come out this fall, so I'm hoping that I can finish Serpent and Dove and then hopefully just pick up the second one and marathon both of them. I've got high hopes. Let's do it. I'm gonna really try to get all of these books done before the end of the year. So I've got quite the list, and it's only about to keep on growing. And last but certainly not least, we have the Start to a trilogy that is another one that I think people on BookTube either really love or really hate, but it is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. The Cruel Prince follows our main character Jude and her sisters, who are kidnapped from a young age and brought up in the land of the Fae, and humans and Fae really don't get along. The Fae really look down on humans, so they are raised kind of in a really low point in society. And I think there's another enemies to lovers romance in here between Jude and who I am assuming is the Cruel Prince. That's really all I know about the series, but I've heard that it's one that's really great if you're in a reading slump and need something to get you out of one. If you know, I have been in the world's longest reading slump for months now, and I am miserable. Knowing that it is fast-paced and knowing that these books are very easy to get through is of course music to my ears, so I have faith that I can get this done. We'll see what happens. All right, and there you have it, guys. These are the 10 books / 10 series that I'm hoping to get through before the end of the year. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you did enjoy it. If you did, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up and comment down below what is one book that you would love to finish before the end of the year. I really want to know. If you're not subscribed to this channel, you can do so by hitting that button down below also. Thank you again so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.